what S stands for. Source? List something. List something. Let's go with that. Okay, so ls means list what's there. So you can see the files and directories that are there. Okay? If you want to go into a directory, you can't double click, right? If I go here and I documents and I see, like nothing happens. What I have to do is I have to change a directory, right? Change directory, CD. So I do CD space and then the name of the directory. So the name of the directory is documents, right? I hit enter, and now, bless you. And now if I hit ls again, this is all the stuff that's inside of my documents. Okay? Now from here, and this is a file by the way, private DMU. So I can now go into, I don't know, projects, CD, projects, ls. Okay, I have some projects there. I can go into CD workspaces, ls. And then you can see like customers, personal, ooh, CS1. I can go to CS1, ls, and then I can see some directories in there, and so on and so on. And in this way you can kind of navigate around. Okay, so now that we know this, what are we actually supposed to do for the homework? Okay, you create a directory. Let me do that for you. Okay? By the way, are you recording this? Oh, okay, it's being recorded, no problem. Okay, so let's say I'm in my directory. Let me zoom back out of here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is the same thing working for Windows?
So CD, yes. CD is the same command, but ls works? No. How do you do ls in Windows? dir. I'm sorry, yes. dir is the same thing as ls. But CD is the same. dir is the one that you have to do something special. Like instead of ls, you do dir. That's it. That's the only difference. By the way, one more thing. In Windows, I think you can go into settings of your terminal and change it to use like Linux commands, in which case now you get the regular ls and so on and so forth. Okay, if you're confused, if you're on Windows, use dir. If you're on non-Windows, use ls to list the directories and files. Okay? CD is the same. Change directory. Exactly the same. Other questions or concerns so far? Okay, so what do I want you to do for your project? I want you to create a directory. Hang on. So let me create a directory on my desktop. So new folder. So folder and directory is the same thing, and let me call it homework1. Okay, so you can see I now have a directory called homework1. Yes? In here, we're going to put a file. Let me open my Sublime. And let's put in, some HTML. Oops. Div. Okay, so here we have some HTML, right? We're going to save this in my desktop, in my homework1 directory, and we're going to call it index.html. Save that. Okay, good. So now, in here, I have that, yes? Now, if I go to my terminal, okay, so CD, name of directory, means go into that directory, right? If you want to go back up a directory, like you want to go one back, it's ... Same thing in Windows. So if I want to do, so right now I'm in documents. I want to go all the way back. So I'll do CD space ... Oh, I went back one. CD, oh, wait, let me zoom in. CD space ... I go back. CD space ... I go back. Okay, now I'm back at my root. And I want to go into my desktop. So CD desktop, ls. I should have homework. There it is, homework1. You guys see that? Can you see that? Okay. So now I'll go CD homework1. There you go, and here's my file inside, yes? Okay. Here is where I'm going to do like init or git init and all those other commands that I listed in the homework assignment. So just follow those directions. So first you have to go and create a project on GitHub. And then from here, you'll do git init, and then you'll do all the various things to eventually do git push. Push means upload, okay? So you will upload this directory, this git directory, up to GitHub. And then I'll have access to your project, and everyone else will, and we can grade it there. If you're confused, fine, I'm okay with that. if you might have noticed, I didn't give you every detail for this assignment. This is because I want you guys to just figure it out. If you are curious about Git, what do? Google it. What is Git? Go to YouTube, Git tutorial, right? There's lots of information online about Git. Or you can just blindly follow the directions I give you in the homework and you'll actually be okay. If you feel like you've hit a brick wall and you can't move forward and oh my god, the deadline is coming, what do we do? What do we do? We have office hours. Okay, so come to office hours and we will help you. I have an office hours on Tuesday. I think Vosgen has one today. He's about to confirm the time and so on. Come to those, we're happy to help. But again, what I suggest is don't just come and ask for help. Try to figure it out yourself, and then if you can, then come for help. Yeah? Questions or concerns? Okay, so one thing I would recommend you do is just, when you get home today, first thing, like open up the terminal in your, if you're on a Mac, terminal, if you're in Windows, the command line interface, CMD, enter, and it opens up. Try to like change directories, try creating a directory, going into a directory, basically CD your way around your directory. And you'll see it's the same thing as using the file browser. Double-clicking into a file CDs you into a directory, right, using the user interface. This is the same thing, except instead of double-clicking, you're CDing. You guys see how this is the same? Yes? If you don't, tell me, like, how is this the same as? So this is basically the same as, hang on. So this is the same as this. These two are the same. Except instead of double-clicking, I'm writing commands. Balls out. I got like two people going like this and everyone else. Okay, fine. Okay, if there are no questions, okay, we're done with this. Now you might be asking yourself, what the crap is Git? Why can't we just like upload a zip onto Moodle? I'll tell you why. Because Git actually has a purpose. So when you work on a project, you have lots of people changing code of that project. That code has to be stuck together, right? You're working on some code here and someone else is working on some code here. Well, how do you now take those changes and send it to this person? How do they take their changes and send it to you? What happens if it's the middle of the night? What happens if they make a change, then they make another one? Basically, it becomes a nightmare as far as versioning. Whose version is the right one? Are you going to just zip up and send emails to each other and download every time? Now, first of all, you're downloading the entire project again, which if it's big, makes no sense. There are lots of complexities with sharing code in this way, if you're on the team. Git does something very intelligent. First of all, the first time you upload, you are uploading your entire project to Git, right, to a server. Then, if anyone else wants to look at your file, they can download it using git pull, but don't worry about that. And then, if you make a change, they can do another git pull and only pull down the changes, the deltas, not the entire thing. So that's first thing. Second thing, versioning. If I then make a change, assuming I have write access, you can then pull. If your version doesn't match mine, there's a whole process that you can go through for merging the code. But you're only merging the code where the files have changed. All the files that haven't changed continue to work properly. Basically, Git allows teams to work on a single code base. It's used in industry. In any project you work on, I guarantee you they're going to use Git. Whether you guys work on a project here or for a startup or once you guys leave, you're going to be using Git. So you might as well learn it now so you know it when you go to the job interview. Okay? So I'm forcing you to do an extra step, but trust me, it's worth it. Okay, so let's get back to our lovely JavaScript. So in previous classes, we've learned that JavaScript has values, it has numbers, it has strings, which can be created using single, double, or quotes. We talked about Boolean values, right, which can have one of two values, true or false. Then we talked about arithmetic operations, right? So you can take numbers and you can multiply them, divide them, all these things. You can use the plus operator to concatenate content, assuming one of the sides is a string, right? So if you have a plus operator and either side is a string, it will actually treat the other side as a string, stick it together, and produce a new string. Then we talked about Boolean logic, right? This notion of and, or, and not, right? And then we talked about the syntax of Boolean logic. So the and is the two ch things, right? The or, the two pipes, and the not, my favorite, right? Okay. Oh, and then we talked about if else, and else conditions, right? So let's just review that last part, the if-else conditions, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So let's say, what's a good example? So we already did the username and password example. So what's another example you think, from your experience of using applications, Facebook, Google, whatever, where you think having a condition would be a good idea? Any examples? Yes.
If you are a teacher, enter this. If you are a student, so when you click on the teacher, it enters another page.
Interesting. All right, fair enough, fair enough. So there's a profile involved. Okay, so suppose we get, so const profile type, and we say the type is teacher. Yes?
Can we go and check the read website's codes and see how
The code of the website?
Yes.
Yeah. You go to DevTools and you look at their JavaScript. The problem is most websites still compress their JavaScript, so it's a smaller file for you to download, which means beautiful variables that look like this turn into const a equals like that. Oh, and they also get rid of spaces, so you'll end up with that. Something like that. Obviously you can't get rid of this space, right? This is a syntax error. So you need that space, but you don't need the other spaces. So it compresses it and puts everything in one line and just makes it look difficult to read. But if you spend some time on it, you can figure it out. Yeah. Okay, good. So we have a profile type called teacher. And we want to say if you're a teacher, wait, suppose there are three profile types. Teacher, student, and parent, because parents can't be students. They can, of course, but okay. So student, oh, sorry. Okay, so let's say this can be either teacher or student or ninja. Because I can, that's why. Okay, so we have these three options, and we want to do something different for each one of these options. So if you're a teacher, we want to console log, something, and then if you're a student, something else. If you're a ninja, something else. Okay? So, how do I do that? If you're a teacher, translate that into code. You know what? I'm not going to write it. Everyone take out a piece of paper. Now, go. Take out a piece of paper, something to write with. Go, go, go, go, go. Yeah, whatever you want. But if you have a laptop, fine, you can type out. Okay, do that. Can everyone read that? This? Can you read that? You can? Okay. It says, if teacher, then print hello teacher. If student, print hello student. If ninja, then print wow. Go. Write this in. Do it. Try to write it so it's syntactically correct. Don't forget the parentheses. Try to indent your code. All that stuff. Go. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, the the equality operator for strings is case sensitive. Yes. Capital teachers not equal to lowercase teacher. Yes. No, but you can write a function, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, are we good? No? Okay. A few more. One more minute.
We're going to use the console.
Yeah, use console. Or if you use alert, it's okay, but yeah, try console log. It's better. Okay. So can I continue now? Come on, you guys are mean. Okay, help me.
Can I ask something?
Of course.
So, we always need to start and end with the script, the writing script.
In your HTML. So look, this is an HTML file. Here I can write like H1, yay, H1. See that? So this, imagine this whole thing to be an HTML file, right? If it's an HTML file, if I get rid of script, how will the browser know that this is code and not text? Right? You have to tell them this is code. The code isn't set. You know what I mean? Now can I start writing code? Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, so let's translate it. If teacher, so if profile type is equal to teacher, if I open in close parentheses, I have a start and end to my if block. You always just do this right off the bat to make sure that everything's okay. Then in here you write your condition. What is my condition? Is profile type equal to teacher. If this is correct, if this is true, then I will print, in other words, console.log, open close with the semicolon at the end. Now I will write hello teacher. Can I just do this? Why can't I do this? Exactly, it doesn't know that it's text. It thinks that you actually have two variables, in fact, is what it'll actually think. So I have to turn it into a string. What's one way I can turn it into a string? Quotes. Okay, so I saw someone do this, so I use double quote, no problem. Here I use single quote, if you notice. So that's okay too. Okay, so now I also say if student, so profile type is student, then console.log hello student.
I have a question.
Yes.
What about the constant profile type? I know once equals student.
Sorry, czy mogę sobie?
Constant check the student.
Okay, look. There's some confusion. Look. Կան արժեքներ ու կան անուններ արժեքների, չէ՞։ Դու կարող ես արժեքին տան անուն ու անունը օգտագործես։ Բայց նաև կարող ես ուղղակի արժեքը օգտագործես։ Ես այս անունին համեմատում եմ այս ֆիքսված արժեքին։ Ճիշտ ես ասում, կարող ես հենց անել։ Կարող ես անել const teacher, հետո ստեղ գրեի teacher։ Այդ է ուզում անել։ Հա, բայց սենց է կարելի։ Okay? Ուղղակի ուզում եմ իմանալ, որ երկուսն է հասկանում ես։ Հասկացած չէ՞, ինչ ասում։ Other questions before I can... Yes? IO. Okay, հասկացա ինչ եք ասում։ Okay, so դուք ասում եք քանի որ ինքը հոստ է, ինքը միշտ teacher ալնելու, այս կոդը անիմաստ է։ Okay, նպատակը ինչ է։ Պատկերացրեք սա ոչ թե այտենց hard code արած որպես teacher, այլ ստանում եմ ինչ որ input-ից, որը ֆորմայից է գալիս։
Այսինքն դուք ֆորման եք էլի։
Հա, ենթադրեք այդ ֆորմա, բայց քանի որ ֆորմա դեռ չգիտեք ոնց են այդ ամեն ինչը անում։ Ես ընդհանրապես hard code եմ արել teacher, որ բացնենք։ Բայց ենթադրի, որ ոչ թե text է գալիս որպես teacher, այլ գալիս է ինչ որ ֆորմայից։
Մեկ էսպիսի տակ։
Իհարկե։
Հնարավոր է որ մենք գրենք const prototype օրինակ tool, չգիտեմ student, ու գրենք տակը if prototype tool, ուրեմն չգիտեմ,
Երեքան profile type-ը
Երեքան
այսինքն teacher-ները հանես teacher-ների մասերը հանեք։
Okay։ Ուզում եք ասեք constant-ներ ստեղծակ, է։
Հա, երեքան շոս։
Ասենք։ By the way, image islands։ Հիմնականում constant-ները շատ հաճախ մեծատառով են գրում, բայց այդ կարևոր չի, syntax-ի հետ կապ չունի։ Okay, so we have one teacher, we have one student, and we have one ninja. Oh, sorry. Okay, and then here what you're saying is let's have this be student, let's have this be teacher. And for now, maybe this can be teacher? Again, this is just an example. This is coming from somewhere, and let's just say it's teacher. Let's have this be value, well, val from form, and then let's say that the val from form is teacher. With val from form, what on the mecode it's agali, so it's connect them. It's a custom. Che? I take us. Okay, now, all right, good. Okay, but everyone understands that this and this, hang on, is the same thing, yes? I'm just using, here I'm using it by a name, here I'm using it directly, as a value. Okay, so if profile type is the same thing as teacher, then we're going to console log teacher. If profile type is the same thing as student, again, I could also write as sense. Same thing, right? That and this, same thing, yes? Okay, then hello student, and if profile type is ninja, then I will console log. Anything about the syntax that's confusing? Yes?
We can write the same code but in the case of if, else, if.
I did as I say. You're right. Okay, look. But here's the thing. This will work, right? But if you think about the engine that runs your code, right? It will check this, if it's true, run that. Check this, if true, run that. Check this, if true, run that. Yes? But profile type can only be one thing. So executing 3 commands is kind of stupid. So, however, so what we can do is say, instead of saying եթե դասատուես էս արա, եթե ուսանողես էս արա, եթե նինջայես էս արա, կարող ենք փոխենք ու ասենք եթե դասատուես էս արա, եթե ոչ եւ ուսանողես էս արա, եթե ոչ նինջայես Կամ եթե ոչ ու նինջա ես, դա դա տարբերակ, okay? Այլ դեպքում. So what we can do is instead of this, we can just do this. Else if. So the change that we've made is that if this is true, this will run. If not, then this will run. If not, then this will run. If this is true, it's going to run this and skip here. It's not even going to look at any of this junk. Եթե սա ճիշտ է, ինքը ամիշապես սականի ու այս ամեն ինչի վրա է պետք է գարասնի ստեղ։ Այս ամեն ինչը չի ենային։ Ասել։
Այսպեսի վերսիա հնարավոր է, որ մենք ինչի profile type հավասարի teacher-ը ջնջենք, դե գնանք գրենք teacher։ Այսինքն const-ի անունը տանք, որ ինքը արդեն const-ի հիմա ինչ կա, ավտոմատ կգրենք teacher։
Չհասկացա, ինչ ասացի։ Մի հատ ասա ինչ կա։
Profile type հավասար, direct հավասար teacher
sense. Այ նույնն է ինչպես որ եթե այստեղ գրեիք sense. Sense? Okay, բայց սա ինչին է հավասար։ Նայեք, դες բացատրեմ դուք ինչ արեցիք։ Իմ հարցը sense է, եթե profile type-ը teacher է, ապա արեք սա, չէ՞։ Դուք իմ հարցը փոխեցիք ու ասեցիք, եթե teacher, արեք սա։ Բայց teacher ինչ։ Այդ տեքստը ինչ է։ Դու ես teacher-ը, ես եմ teacher-ը, ես փոփոխականն եմ teacher-ը։ Ինչ որ հասկանում եք, չէ՞, հարցը չի ձևավորված։ Ուղղակի տեքստ է գրել։ Տեքստը պետք է ինչ որ հարց լինի։ Այս տեքստը հավասար է սրան, եթե այո, սա պատկերացրեք։ Boolean է ուզում։ Այո կամ ոչ։ Տեքստը boolean չի, չէ՞, տեքստը։ Ոնց կարող ենք սա ձևակերպենք, որպեսզի ինքը պատասխան տա այո կամ ոչ։
That's type to hello teacher.
Okay, yes, but that's because you know JavaScript and you know it's a truthy value, but it's a true guy, իրական վարիանտում, այն ինչ որ դուք եք առաջարկում, բայց այդ նույնիսկ չի աշխատի ոչ որ դուք ուղղակի տեքստը truth-ի է, դրա համար մտնում է մեջը, ով որ գիտի ապրեք, ով որ չգիտի, մի մտածեք, ես գործ չունեք դրա։ Just ենթադրեք, որ if-ը ուզում է boolean, այո կամ ոչ։ Всё։ Okay? Այսինքն պետք է հարց լինի ստեղ, որի պատասխանը լինի այո կամ ոչ։ Ինչ որ համեմատում, օրինակ, որի պատասխանը կլինի այո կամ ոչ։ Պատկերացրեք։ Okay. Հաջող։
So what if I want to automate also writing hello teacher, hello student part, and because I have, let's say, not 3 types, but I have 1,300 types, and I want to concatenate what hello, word hello, and a value that is inputted in the profile type.
Perfect. You want to concatenate hello with profile sense?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
But this won't work, right? It would write hello profile type.
No.
Yeah, because
This will work. Why won't it work?
because
is the
if
same-
one part is string.
Okay, nice. Okay. So what she wants to do is just do this. Look. There we go. You guys see what she did? Profile type is teacher, student, or ninja, right? So she's printing hello plus whatever that is, or whatever that is, or what. So let's replace it. What would this be in this context? The values teacher, right? Okay. You can concatenate 2 strings.
Yeah, but in case of when you write profile type, it's not. It will treat it like a string, right?
Yes.
But I want to input what is in the profile type. That is teacher.
And now, okay, look.
But what did I teach you?
Yes, now, you're confusing very fundamental thing. To print the text profile type, you have to do this. This will print profile type. If you print this, it will print the value of profile type, which is?
Teacher.
Now, if I do this, what will this print?
Hello, profile type.
Hello.
Okay, wait. What will this print?
Hello.
What will that print? Hello, teacher. Teacher goes.
Այդտե ասում, բայց ես թվում էր եթե պլյուս ենք նում,
Չէ։
մի մասը string-ը, ինքը մյուսին էլ է string։
Ինքը իր արժեքն է վերածում տեքստի, ոչ թե իրար որպես փոփոխականի անուն է վերածում տեքստի։ Ճիշտ եք ասում, արագում էսը ավելացեց։ Ինչ եք ասում։ Իրան պետք է վերածեմ տեքստի։ Հիմա կգնի profile type։ Բայց հիմա, նայեք, road, այդ ֆունդամենտալ բանա, որ պետք է հասկանանք։ Երբ որ դուք անունը տեսնում եք, չէ՞ կոդի մեջ, ձեր ուղեղի մեջ դա դարձրեք իր արժեքը։ Հենց տեսնում եք անունը, թարգմանեք ձեր ուղեղի մեջ, դարձրեք իր արժեքը։ Ստեղ profile type տեսնում եք։ Չկա, չէ՞։ Նշանակում է, այս վիճակում էլ չկա։ Այս ընդհանրապես իր անունն է, ոչ թե արժեքն է։ Սա փոխարինեք իր արժեքի հետ եւ աշխատացրեք կոդը ձեր ուղեղի մեջ։ Պարզ է։ Yes, it's starting to make sense. do some exercises before we move on then. I think we need them. Okay. Let's write some more code. Okay, pull out your pencils and paper, whatever, and let's do this. Let's do the password example again, because why not? Oh, no, I know. When you guys first want to like log into Facebook, you have to create an account. It asks you to write your password. Then it asks you to write your password again. Right? Okay. Write the code that would compare the two passwords, making sure that they're the same. If they're not the same, print your passwords are different. If they're the same, say congratulations, you're now a member of Facebook.
Do we have to also write it on the other part?
No, yeah, okay, no, don't write the HTML. Just create a constant and put values in it, for now. If you don't understand what, raise your hand, I will clarify. So, okay, create two variables, two constants, sorry. Two constants. One is password 1, one is password 2. Put text in both of them. Have an if statement that compares them. If they're the same, print out congratulations, you're now in Facebook. If they're different, write your passwords do not match. Got it? Go. Start writing code. If you forgot what I said, you can just follow this. Can we keep going? 1 minute, okay. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing I asked you to do was to create. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, so we want to create two constants, one for each password. So what would I call, I need a name for the first password. Password 1, whatever. And let's say cute Shunik 1. Const password 2. Cute Shunik without the 1. Okay, if the two passwords are correct, we're going to print one thing. If they're not, we're going to print another thing. So, if the two passwords are correct, what do I do? Okay, so what do I write? Open parentheses. Good. So the very first thing, whenever you want to write if, I think you should open parentheses, start, end. Like do that at the beginning, just do it. Then, fill in the if condition. What is the if condition?
PW1 3 equals.
Good. If they're, so this would mean if they're the same, what should I say? Console.log, yeah, whatever. Okay, good. In all other cases, else, start, end.
Console.log, sorry, block.
Whatever. Good. Raise your hands if the code that you wrote on paper was syntactically correct and would be just executed by the computer correctly. Not bad. Okay, we're so far so good. Okay. Check. What? İç hemen. Yates. Sağ?
Mama ne açıyor?
Esiyatek. Check. Step. Step. Check. No. Yeah, use, okay, look, when you're doing if statements, don't use semicolons. Just know that. Okay? Okay. Other questions? Yes? Yeah, sure, we could do, this is not equal to puppy. Like that? Yeah, of course. Other questions? Yes?
Instead of else, I wrote another if, and then I put the password is not equal to the password.
Perfect, fine. So, okay. What she did, guys, listen, which is perfectly reasonable, is she then gave the opposite. If password 1 is not equal to password 2, do that. The net effect is exactly the same. Yes? We agree. Why would I do one versus the other if they're both correct? The reason is this. If this is correct, will this ever be correct? No. If this is correct, will this ever be correct? No. So it makes, if we have a condition where only one of them is ever going to be true, why have it process this and then also process this? Imagine you're the computer and you're reading the text and you're running it, right? So you read that and you go, okay, I need to allocate some memory and put some text into it and call it, PW1. I have to allocate some memory, put some text in there and call it PW2. Then if this, whatever, and then I either run this or I don't. If this, then I either run this or I don't, and then I'm done, right? That was the order in which the computer would execute your code. Yes? If you did else, this would mean that the computer would still run this, and then it would run this, and if this was true, it would run this and skip right here. It would not even look at this code. So it's a little bit faster. Also, logically, it's clearer to understand because you understand that this can only have either this case or the other case. It's just simpler to understand. Both are 100% correct. One more thing. If this is the opposite of this, then why have this if statement at all? Remember, less code is always better. This is correct. If you did this on a quiz, 100%, no problem. I would not detect it. But in practice, why have more code if this means exactly the same thing? Okay. Other questions or concerns? Yes, I'm sorry.
Can we use var instead?
Don't use var. Yes, in JavaScript you can, but not in this class. Other questions? So, try back in? Okay. So, let me give you a fun one. Hang on. Oh shoot, it's one already. Okay, so look. Up until now, we've had this notion of a value, right? So you can put a value like a string, or a number, or a boolean. What we haven't talked about are lists of values, right? makes sense that you might have a list of friends, a list of, I don't know, you have 5 fingers. Each finger has a length. That's a list, right? It makes sense to have lists. You agree? So how do you create a list in JavaScript? You ready? It's really hard. Like that. That's a list. Okay, so now let's give this list a name. Const list. Now let's not call it list. Let's call it John. Because why not? Boom. Notice that the syntax is exactly correct as putting a string into a name or putting a number. Let's call this polls. Okay. Right? So the syntax is exactly the same. Const, the name, the assignment, and the value. The value in this case is a string. The value in this case is a number. The value in this case is a list. Lists in programming are called arrays. Array. Just remember that. Array. If you think array, it's a list. That's it. Very simple. With me? How do I put things into this list? Again, super hard. You guys ready? Get your brains ready. Okay, like that. I just put a 5 into my list. You want me to put one more in? Where if I just put a 7, that's going to be 57. Right? So that can't be it. So I need something in between to delimit the fact that there are 2 different values inside of my array. And what makes sense, actually, is to put a comma in. Wouldn't you say? Yes. Oh, sorry. Was there a hand? Yes. No. Oh, no. We'll talk about lengths later. The length of this array is 2, by the way. Okay. Later. And then if I want another value, I can put like that. There you go. So now I have an array with a 5, a 7, and a 939. Yes? Can we put strings in here? Of course. We can put strings in here. We can actually go, or whatever. There. Now I have an array that has a string, a number, and a number. Watch this. Exactly. I have an array where the first value in the array is a string, the second value in the array is a number, and the third value in the array is a boolean. Okay? Yes? Judge. True? S o aqui փոփոխականի, որի 33-ի ակնան տալիս, չէ՞։ S ֆունա, որը նշանակում է այս տեքստը, միշտ փոխում եք տեսնում, ենթադրեք այս տեքստը, երբ որ ջան եք տեսնում, ենթադրեք նշանակում է այս ցուցակը, որի մեջ կա www որպես text, որպես առաջին արժեքը, 7 որպես երկրորդ արժեքը, ու true, այո, որ նշանակում է այո բառի իմաստով, որը երրորդ արժեքը։ Now, watch this. Suppose, let's move these guys up here. And let me have this be, Vos is triple equal to, what will be in my array now?
False.
Not just. What's in my array? www, 7, and false. If I do this, www, 7, true. Got it? Yes. You mean in your text you want to use it? Like that? Ah, but that's a point, not a comma. Right? Okay, yeah, so, sorry. I know you guys, decimals in programming are dot. So 7.7 means yod amokchakan, yod da da da. Yeah? Okay. So that's okay, you can do this, no problem. Just don't use a comma. Yes? Other, yes? No. That's the cool, one of the interesting things about JavaScript is they don't have to be the same thing. You can have strings and numbers and booleans and a bunch of other things all mixed up into one big list. No problem. Not the same in Java. Or C++ or a bunch of other. Other questions? Yes? Չէ, սենց էլ կաշխատի, ուղղակի ես սիրում եմ իրան համենայն դեպս, որ ավելորդ սինտակտիկ բաների հետ չխառնվի, սիրում եմ իրան փակել ու մի հատ հաշվարկել, հետո նոր իրան աստար մնացած աշխարհին։ Խաչեն։
How does it look on the web? How does the list look on the web?
It doesn't. A list is not a user thing. Like, it's just information that you can then... Like, how does a list of friends look on the web? The list of friends doesn't look like anything on the web. It's just information that you are friends with Joe and Jack. Then there is code that will draw Joe and Jack on the screen with their profile picture and their name and all of that, yes? So the part that draws things on the screen is separate from the data that describes that information. Okay? So there's information about who your friends are, and then there's the code that draws that on the screen. That's a separate thing. We'll talk about that stuff later. Yeah? Yes?
What happens if you change the line or that contains the list to the first one? Will the purpose not equal to my 9 be true?
No. Because it executes top down. Again, we're not using var, for those of you who have used it, which has a slightly different behavior. But in this case, it executes from the top down. Yes? So when it comes here, it's going to say, I don't know what that is. I've never seen it before because I'm executing from top down. Logically, that makes sense. Yeah? Good. Great questions. Other questions? Is this clear? Okay, let's get fancy now. Ready? So we talked about how you can have a list that contains numbers. Right? So I can have a list with like a 5, a 8, and a 0. Sure, why not? We talked about how the list can have text. Fine. We talked about how a list can have booleans. Oh, sorry. Fine. Guess what? Did I just blow your mind?
Another list.
Does it make sense? Was that the question?
Yes, in the sense that doesn't it also count that the things, the items inside of the list are potential inside of the big list?
Okay, so let me do it like this so it's clear. Wait. Okay. This is a list, right? This is the start of the list and this is the end of the list. Yes? This is the first value in the list. This is the second value in the list, and this is the third value in the list. This list can now have things in it. Oh, sorry. Wait. 8, 7, 1. There. Sorry. Good. So what we have is a list where the first value in the list is a list. Ready to get your mind blown even more?
Can open it.
A list of lists. Can we run? What do you want me to do? You want me to print it? Hang on, let me. There you go. It looks like that. I'll explain how it actually ended up printing like this later, but this is what it looks like. Okay, now, let's go back to having just a basic list of like a 6, I don't know, a 9, and a 12. Okay, so this, there you go, let me make this a bit simpler, move this around. Okay. So, this is an array that has an array, remember, is the same thing as a list, right? So I'll refer to it now as an array. So don't get confused, array just means list. So this is an array that has the value 6, 9, and 12 inside, right? One thing that we can do is obviously just print the array. What it will do is it will go through each value in my array and turn it into a string and put it on the screen. Right? So it turns 6 into a string, 9 into a string, 12 into a string, then puts the quote, the comma between them, and prints all of that onto the screen, which is why you get this as a result. I can do A A dot length. Oh, sorry, okay. Length is the size of your list, the size of your array. How many values do you see in this array? 3. Ba-da-ba-ba. Now the next obvious question is, how do we access the values of the array? How do I get the second value in the array?
Write 1.
Huh? Write 1? Yeah, yes. So remember when we were studying binary, we started everything with 0? Like 0 was the first one, when everything was shut off, and then it was 1, then 2, then, remember? So 0 is our starting value. The first value is at position 0. The second value is at position 1, and the third value is at position 2. Let me say this one more time, because there was some confusion. S-tere բեցի, համար 0-ն է։ Սա համար 1-ն է, սա համար 2-ն է։ Ինչու, որովհետև 0-ից ենք սկսում։ Okay? In programming, we start counting from 0. It's not 1, 2, 3, it's 0, 1, 2, 3. Got it? So, in order for me to, so this is number 0, right? The position is number 0. The way to access that position is this. You open a bracket, you put in the index that you want, 0, 1, or 2, and then you close it. This means give me the first value inside of this array. How do I get the last one? Remember, this is 0, this is 1, that's 2. What happens if I get 10?
Undefined.
It does not exist. There is no 10, right? There's nothing at index 10. The array itself is only 3. So, of course, it gives me nothing, which, again, in JavaScript is just undefined. It means nothing. There's nothing there. Okay. Question. How do I get the last value if I don't know how, like, what's another way of getting the last value? A dot length minus 1. Why does this work? What is A dot length?
3.
What is 3 minus 1? It's the same thing. You see, if we work our way back, that is the same thing as that, which is the same thing as that. One more time. That, that, that. Cool? Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Specific intent goes on. Okay, so we have 200 items in the list. Got it. The manipulation within the array, we'll talk about a bit later, yeah. But yes, exactly. If you wanted to print out, let's say this array had a bunch of values. It had a 4, a 7, a 1, a 0, a 9, 9. Okay, now we have an array that's a lot longer. How do I print the last value in the array again? Not this side. Someone new here.
Minus 1.
What happens if I do A dot length?
Minus 1.
Why?
Because there is no element that has a position.
Exactly. There's no. It's an empty. It's empty. Look, if I had this, right? This means A dot length would be 3, right? It would be this. But remember, this is position 0. This is position 1, and this is position 2. There's no position 3, right? So it's empty, undefined. Got it? Good. Okay, so let's go back to this example. So let's do length minus 1, and that will give me the last one. How do I get the first one? 0. How do I get the middle one?
A dot middle. A dot length minus 1
Sorry?
divided by 2. Divided.
Minus 1 divided by 2?
Yes.
Divided 2 minus 1.
Like this? It actually depends if it's odd or even, because then I might get a fraction. And you can't get an index of 2.5. That doesn't exist. So there's some mathematical, maybe we might have to round it, right? We'll talk about how that stuff is done later. There are actual functions that will help you do this. But that's later. But okay, you guys get the basics, right? It's like roughly half is a dot minus 2. So if it's an odd number, this will work. Yes? We're okay? Okay. Sorry, if it's an even. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, now. So, how do I print 0? This one. How do I get this one? What index is this? Woohoo! How do I get 9? This one. Nice. Beautiful. You guys are geniuses. Okay, we have 3 more minutes, so yes.
And what if you want to do the opposite? If you see, for example, 99, and you want to know on which position is it, on which place is it.
You have to search the array. Well, there's no obvious way to do that. If I just say 99 and I give you a list, you have to look in that list until you find the 99.
No, I see 99 and I want to know on which place is it.
That's what I'm saying.
I see it on the 5th place.
I get it. You see 99 because you see the array, right?
Yes.
Which position is 99? The point is, you don't actually, you're thinking of it like a person who's looking at code. A computer doesn't know that. A computer just says, I have a list of numbers. Then you say,
okay.
Is there even a 99 in that list? And if it is, where is it? You have to loop through and find it. We're going to do these exercises later. Huh?
Function index of.
Yeah, we'll do functions later. Yes. Why function check out? Okay, one quick thing before you go and then we take a photo. You guys ready? I'm about to blow your mind again. So, what's the first value in my array?
An array of
An array. What's the second value in my array? And the third is also an array. I'm going to put 3, 4, and 5. And here I'll put 7, 8, 9. And here I'll put 9, 10, and 11. How do I get the first value in A?
3, 4, 5.
The first value in A. Just listen to what I'm saying.
3, 4, 5.
The first value in A, not the first value in the first value of A. The first value of A. A0. What will this return to me? What does this come back with?
3, 4, 5.
This array, right? So now in that array, how do I get the second value?
One more break. Close to 0.
Again 0.
Inside the...
So I'm done. I'm just going to get a chance to try now. This is the same thing as this, right? Copy, hang on. Right? Okay, so, sorry, I have to do it, whatever. So that's the same. So then I take the index 1 of this one, which is what? 4. So I get 4. Okay, we'll talk about this in detail. Are there, yes?
What after choosing 1, choose 7.
Okay, next class we're going to start with this and ask all the questions you want, yeah? Okay, wait, don't leave, let's take a photo. Let's cut out sick, hi. Sayıları kadar bu metrik şu hapsız var. Bundan gördük ben çektim.
So whose place is this? Yeah.
Okay. ասեք գիտեք, ես computer science եմ սովորել, ես եմ իմ դասարանն է։ Alright. Ready? Այսօր 4-ն է, ջան, այո։ Արցախ ովքեր։ Հեյ։ Հաստատ իմանամ եք, հա, որտեղ անցական 3 անգամ նկարեցի, անհետացա նրա խոսքը, չգիտեմ ոնց։ Մի հատ է 3 անգամ։ Okay։ Ոչ մեկի չասեք, պարզ է նույն նկարն է, բայց ոչ մեկի չասեք։ Ոնց ասեք։ Արաս։ Նոր շապիկ ունեք։ Ready? Արցախ ովքեր։ Hey! John, okay, we got 3 and 4. Guys, there's an office hours with Vazgen after this class, so now, what room? Çosar müsaade bu M. M. Nasıl gidiyor?